Hello and welcome to this tutorial for our new online data analysis tool as part of the HIM Client Hub. So I'm going to take you through the basic functionality of our new data analyzing tool. So hopefully this will give you a good grounding and get you up to speed with how to start creating your own tables and bespoke pieces of analysis within our online reports, and also being able to then export that information to either Excel or PowerPoint, or even view as a chart within the current system. So hopefully you should be familiar with this Client Hub home screen, which has our channels in which we operate. For this example, I'm going to go into one of our convenience reports, so I'll select convenience, and we'll take a look at CTP 2014 data. So if I click on that button there, so as you can see, it takes you to our home screen, which details the two research tools that are available to you to use. The first of those tools is called our Detailed Analysis Research tool. This tool allows you to create your own bespoke data sets for any combination of variables and questions, and you can really control how little and how much data you view, how it's filtered, how it's displayed, in order to really kind of take our vast amount of data and really bespoke it for your needs. The comparison research tool allows you to get into a lot more detail in terms of really benchmarking and comparing different data sets between each other. So for example, if you're comparing shopper types or retailer types. So the first example, I'm going to take you into the detailed analysis tool. So if we just click on it as such, it will take you into that screen. Now the first screen that pops up is a helpful user guide for this system. It will take you on a step-by-step guide of how to access the report, select different variables and create your charts. So this screen will always appear when you log in. You can obviously toggle this to show or do not show this again, so let's just do that for now and close that. But as you can see on this screen, it does still have this help functionality, which would always remain. So if you click that, you'll go back to that help screen as before. Now, when we look at the detailed research analysis tool, it essentially is a blank table for us to now build our own data set within this. And as you can see, within the rows and columns, there is this plus button. And this enables us to add what we want to see across the top and what we want to see down the side of this data set. So let me just take you through, and we'll build a very simple set of tables just to show you the different functionality of this tool. So if we click on the plus button to decide what we want to add as columns to our chart, or essentially what we want to see as data across the top of our chart. So once we've selected that plus button, we get this box open up here. Now this enables us to select our questions or variables that we want across the top of our data set. Now we've split them up into different sections to hopefully make your life a little bit easier in terms of finding the data you're looking for. So all the different sections, as you can see, are here, and this contains question sections, so for example, questions on shopper missions. But also contains variables, so things like retailers and regions, for example, things that aren't necessarily questions but are available for you to manipulate and view our data sets by. In this example, I'm going to do something fairly straightforward and simple. So I'm going to select shopper profiles here. So now we select a question, and this will now pull in the questions that are related to that section. So again, hopefully just making life a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. Now, let's select gender. And then once we've selected gender, we can then select which answers we want to view. So again, total functionality. You can choose whether you want to show all the responses within that specific question, or just individual responses, so just males, just females, or we can select all. And obviously this is a fairly simple set of selections with only 2 responses. If this was a question with 100 responses, this does enable you to take out some of that information that you don't necessarily want to be viewing. So in this example, I'll select both, and we'll save those changes. So now we get our top row populated with this male and female split as we've defined. You'll also see that this legend appears at the bottom. Now the legend just keeps track for you in terms of what questions you're plugging in, and once you start to build this up and it gets more complicated, this legend will become very useful for you. Now we know now what we've got across the top of our tables, and we can now add to what we want to see along the side of the tables, or what we want to see in the rows. So again, same functionality as before. You click on the plus button, same list of sections, same list of questions. Again, we're going to try and keep it fairly simple just for this example. So I'll go back into shopper profiles and I'm going to look at work status. Now for this example, I'm just going to select two of these options just to keep it a bit of a neat 2x2 table. So we've got work full-time and work part-time. So if I save those changes, and as you can see, this then automatically updates with live information for you in terms of the data. And it will show you our sample sizes and the percentage values within each of those pieces of information. As you can see, within both the columns and the rows, the plus buttons still remain. So this essentially means that you can keep adding further levels of analysis to this set of tables to be more filtered and more complex. So at the moment we're just looking at males and females who work full-time and part-time within the data, but I'm going to add another level of cutting into this information. And for this example, I'm going to look into regions. So this is a variable, but again, you can do a mixture of variables and questions. So this now brings up every region of which we interview. As you can see, we have a total, intended and actual variable, so you can look at whether you want to look at those shoppers in the southeast in total, those shoppers in the southeast who were there before they entered the store, and those in the southeast who we interviewed after they exited the store. Again, so there's always the options to be as complicated or as simple as you want. So for this example, we'll keep it again very simple. So we just look at the total southeast and total north shoppers. And I'll save those changes again. So you can see now we've added another depth of information into this data set. So we've now got the ability to look at males in the southeast, males in the north, females in the southeast, and females in the north. As you can see, again, the sample sizes have reduced because we've gone an extra level of information. And I could do the same for the rows as well, so I can add another element of data cutting into that. So again, if we perhaps went into shopper profiles again, and now we were looking at, say, social grade and ABC1s and C2DEs. If we save those changes, and as you can see, we've now got another level of data cutting. So example, in this cell I've highlighted here, in the deeper purple, we've got males in the southeast who work full-time and are ABC1s. So again, it just shows you the different level of analysis we can get down to. And as you can imagine, this is just a very simple example, but there is a lot more you can possibly do. We also have the ability to change or delete the additional rows and columns that we've kind of selected. So if you click into that question, for example, we can change it. By changing it, you just go back to your sort of edit question main screen and you can manipulate that how you wish. Or we can simply just delete it and then that removes it, and again the chart gets updated. So if I do the same for this question here, again, just to make it a little bit simpler. Another level of functionality that we have as part of this new reporting tool is our confidence level bar. So as you can see, I'll go back just one there stage just to show you. So you can select two pieces of data and can see whether they are statistically significant from each other. So in this example, I'm going to look at males who work full-time versus females who work full-time. So I've highlighted the males who work full-time, and I'll do the same for the females, and then the confidence level bar will pop up. You can toggle this between a 90, a 95 and a 99% confidence level, and essentially if it's a green tick it's a statistical significant difference, and if it's a red cross it isn't. And it really is as simple as that. It just gives you another level of functionality, and to simply remove it you just kind of unhighlight those bars. So as well as adding additional levels of data cutting within a table, you can also just simply add new tables. So the add new table button enables you to go into another question and add another question and start building your own set of tables. Again, in this example, I'm going to perhaps look at shop emissions. So as you can see, again, we've got all the questions within that section. I'm going to look at main shop emissions here today, and I'm just going to pick a couple. I'll pick 3 there. And you can see it just nests and starts to build up another data set and another table, and the legend again just keeps updating. And you can keep adding the tables, you can keep adding different levels of manipulation and cutting of the data as you wish, and it really is as flexible, and you can do as much or as little as you really want to do here, really. Again, if I click into that question, I have the ability to change it or remove it altogether. I'll remove it just to keep it a little bit simple here. So one other part of this detailed research tool is the ability to filter a question. So this enables you to sort of filter questions rather than having to kind of manipulate the question itself. So for example, at the moment we're looking at all shoppers who are males and females and their work status, but I may want to look at this information by a particular variable. So for example, we may want to look at it by a specific channel. So in this example, I'm going to look at symbol stores only. So I've selected symbol stores there. Save that change. So now we're looking at males and females, but only at symbols. So as you can see, we've now added a filter into this data set. So if you're only working on a particular retailer or in a particular channel or particular category shopper type, for example, you can add this filter in to make sure that all the information you're looking at is relevant to who you're looking at. And again, as before, we have the ability to edit it. It brings you back to the original question and enables you to change. And we can also delete it. And you can add more than one filter by adding onto the plus button here as well. So again, same sort of level of functionality as before. Let's delete that just for the time being, just to keep things nice and simple. So once you're kind of happy and you've built your data set within this tool, you've got a couple of options really. You can export it to Excel, or you can view it as a chart. So exporting to Excel, fairly straightforward, dumps it into a Excel chart, Excel sheet I should say, or you can view it as a chart. So if I click view as a chart, so this now brings up that information in a live chart within the system. So this is just an interesting way to be able to view the data that you select through the tool, through the system. Just as it's another way of perhaps visualizing that information. And again, you can perhaps choose it as a bar chart if you think that's more relevant to you. Then within this, you can still export this to Excel. So this will export the data and the chart into Excel format, or you can export to PowerPoint, which will export the whole chart within to a PowerPoint suite of charts, which you can manipulate as you see fit. So if I go back to our analysis, so in essence, that is really kind of the simple functionality around this tool. And as I said before, all the tools are there really to be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. So I'm going to go back to our main research tool page and now quickly show you our comparison tool. So if I click in here, again, a help screen will appear to guide you through. And again, you can choose whether this appears every time or whether you don't want it to show it again. But as before, that help button still remains. Now, as you can see, it looks fairly straightforward and looks basically the same as the detailed analysis tool, with the ability to add rows, add columns, and add filters as before. However, you'll notice a slight difference once you go into the tool, and the real difference between this tool is that this tool is very much enables you to drill down into very specific types of shoppers or retailers and able to compare them against each other. Again, I'm going to show a fairly simple example just to make it a bit easier for us to follow. So I'll select gender again, but this time, as you can see, we can only select one option because we're building an individual read of a person or a shopper type or a retailer rather than building a table. So I'll select males in this instance, and the difference here is now we have this add another cell. So this enables us to go down into more information into who this person is. So at the moment we've got males, but we may want to make sure that they are males who are ABC1s, for example. So I'll go into that social grade question, select ABC1s, and then I may want to make sure that they're males who are ABC1s, but who are on a top-up mission. So we'll go into main shopper mission, we'll select top-up. So as you can see, that add another cell is always there, so you can keep adding, keep getting into a very specific shopper type here. So if we save those changes, we've essentially created that profile of a shopper. And within C1 now, that legend then shows you exactly what kind of questions and how we've built that up. Now this plus button now appears here, so this enables you to add multiple columns and multiple different shopper types or retailers that you want to be comparing against. So I'll do a similar build here, but this time I will look at females. I will look at social grade ABC1, and I will look at main shopper mission, but I will look at food to go as a shopper mission, just as an example. So we can see we've now got two kind of shopper types that we're looking at, so we're comparing them against each other. And let's have a look at what we want to compare. So let's compare their visit frequency. So we've gone into the visit frequency section, we've selected the question we want, and again we can select whether we want all this information to be shown or whether we just select a couple. So let's just select 4 for now. Again, just to kind of keep it a little bit simple. So as you can see, we've now done a benchmark comparison between this C1 shopper type, who we can see are defined clearly here, and this C2 shopper type, who we can see defined here. And we've looked at what the difference is in their visit frequency. So again, a fairly simple example, but hopefully it shows you that functionality. And again, as before, we can keep adding new nested tables within this dataset as previously, or we can add more and more comparisons to build into this chart. And it really is as simple as that. Now, as before, we can add the filter, and we can view as a chart, and we can export to Excel. So it really does give you exactly the same level of functionality as the previous tool. It just enables you to look at the information in a slightly different way, depending on what your objectives are really with what you're trying to do with the data. And I'll go back 1 second just to show you another level of functionality in this tool. So if we go back into the detailed research tool, it will show you a blank screen. So basically every time you go back into it, it will be blank, enable you to start again. However, to hopefully alleviate any potential issues with that, we've added this functionality of reload previous configuration. So if you click on that button, essentially it will take you back to the last piece of data analysis that you were working on. So hopefully this enables you to not lose important information that you were working on. And they're really the two research tools, and hopefully this short demonstration really gives you a base level of understanding of the functionality of both these tools. Obviously, the more kind of you play around with it, the more manipulation, hopefully the better understanding of it you get. But if you do ever experience any questions or can't get to the information you're looking for, then please do contact your client manager at HIM, who will be happy to help. Thank you very much.